And I said, sure, you just have to make sure none of your bikini tops or bottoms go into my tail rotor, or it's going to be very exciting. Welcome to 10 Minute Travels. With me, as always, is Phil Freeman.
And with me, as always, is Shane Patrick. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about flying helicopters in Africa.
Let's get right to it, shall we?
Were there any memorable moments with the guests?
Oh, right. I had a mom with 3 daughters. They were all, the daughters were all in. The oldest one was getting her doctorate in economics from Columbia. So she was probably 28 or something like that. The youngest one was 22 or maybe. And the 3 of them with their mom were flying around. Well, they were traveling around the world. They spent a year traveling around the world and remembering their father. I don't know if they were celebrating his death or if they really missed him, but I do know they enjoyed themselves. They liked having fun. I took them on a flight and they loved it. You know, at dinner that night, they asked me to join them. And normally I eat in the back of house with staff, or I eat by myself, you know. But if guests asked you to eat with them, it wasn't required, but it was pretty much expected that you would do that, you know, help their experience. So they asked me to dinner. I was more than happy to hang out, and they said, we would like to go for a flight with you again tomorrow. How long can we be in the air? Money wasn't their concern. They just wanted to spend as much time in the air as they could. So we got that all ironed out, and they showed up, and it was Mom, who's probably, she might have been 60, 55 or 60. She sat up front with me, all the ladies across the back, girls across the back, and all the girls were wearing bikinis. We took off, and we were flying for a little while. You know, we all had headsets so we could hear each other talk and whatnot. One of them said, "Is it okay if we get naked back here?" And I said, sure, you just have to make sure none of your bikini tops or bottoms go into my tail rotor, or it's going to be very exciting. And then Mom looked at me and said, they used to be such good kids. And I thought they still were.
Day at work.
Yeah, it's not easy. Yeah, that one was memorable. I mean, you have all the little random ones, like where you teach a person that they can just zoom their camera back out instead of leaning into you because they can't fit the animal in their picture, you know? Or like, here's how you turn your flash off. But yeah, the bikini, that was a big day. 3 naked ladies in the back. And then I had dinner with them again that night. They were just delightful.
Did you travel in Africa while you were there?
I did. I took one of my February leaves. I spent some time in Tanzania and also Namibia. And I went to South Africa on business, you know, to get helicopters serviced and things like that. So 54 countries in Africa. I've only seen a couple of them, but I did move around a little bit while I was there.
What, did you see any trends?
I don't know about trends. Well, I think, you know, as far as seeing animals, it's pretty much Botswana, Kenya, and Tanzania. Those are the places that are known for the plains game. Zebras, wildebeest, lions, giraffes, elephants, rhinos, hippos. Those places all have them. Botswana is a little more exclusive, so it's more expensive, but you won't see many people, if any. In Tanzania, I took a picture of a lion, and I was able to get 18 vehicles in the picture. Some in the front of us and some in the rear view, you know. But just definitely a lot more crowded. They've been doing tourism there for so much longer that they are on the model of, we'll get $1 from 10 people, whereas Botswana would rather get $10 from one person. So there's that. Namibia is outstanding. It's made for people to do their own thing, your own self-drive. It was a German colony. People can say what they want about the Germans. They make stuff to last. So the roads are good. You can drink the water out of the tap in Namibia, which is not the case in most of Africa. The campgrounds, you go to a campground and they'll be like, that one and that one, the water doesn't work. You can camp there and get water from one of the other places, but you might see, in a whole day, you might see 3 potholes. And it's worse than that going from here to Anchorage, Namibia doesn't have much in the way of animals because it's super dry there. It makes the Kalahari look like a rainforest, the Namib Desert. That's the oldest one on the continent. And there are several species that they have evolved to live off of dew, sea fog. Rain doesn't happen in parts of the country. Yeah, I would say, and another thing about Namibia is they somehow have, as a culture, it's really strange. They understand that tourists are going to give them money, like in a good way, not begging or whatever. For instance, when you go to a petrol station, they ask you how much you want, and they check your oil and clean your windscreen, and then they chit-chat with you. They ask you how you've enjoyed their country, where you've been, where you're going next. Bizarre. I don't know how it is in the rest of Africa, but in Tanzania and Botswana and South Africa and Namibia, I've been through multiple roadblocks, police roadblocks. And in Namibia, as soon as you pull up, they can tell from there's a little medallion on your windscreen that says it's a rental car. And they don't care about your passport. They just chit-chat with you. They're really nice, friendly. Thank you for visiting our country, which is not my experience other places. It was pretty cool.
And you saw some beautiful scene.
Yeah, the scenery there, it's everywhere you look, it's an artist's wet dream. There's topography and colors and soft light and harsh environments. And we did an airplane tour out of a place called Susavli, which is at the eastern end of the Skeleton Coast. So basically from the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, to where people can almost survive. That's where the plane's based. The way the winds work there is basically the Kalahari Desert winds get pushed into the ocean, and then the waves push them up onto that beach, and it just kind of makes a gigantic circle. So there's sand forever. And when I say forever, I'm talking about 20 minutes in a Cessna 206 flying west with only sand, not one plant. It's no wonder it's the Skeleton Coast. When boats landed there.
My dad, he told me of this book, The Skeletons of the Sahara. And we're in a book club. He gives me these books, and it's one of these expeditions based on Yankee traders. True story. And they shipwreck against the coast. And then after that, all bets were off. They got caught and then enslaved. They got traded for blankets. And they crossed each other because they got split apart between tribes. And they stopped drinking water. And they lived for years. And then an English diplomat, he gets wind of, somehow a letter makes it to him from the captain. He's like, help us. They brought him in and bought him back.
Wow.
And then they went home as just a commodity.
Yeah. Supposedly that doesn't happen anymore.
And guaranteed, when you read it, it makes you appreciate a glass of water.
I bet. Yeah, that's a thing, a cultural thing in Botswana. I assume it's in Southern Africa. If someone asks you for water, if you have some, you have to give it to them. It's the most grave sin if you don't. So a stranger at the door, you don't have to invite them in or anything like that. You can close the door and lock it and go get your water. Unlock the door, hand them the glass. Close the door, lock it. That's totally polite. That's just fine. But you cannot say, if you have water and someone asks you for a glass of it, you cannot say no. There will be repercussions, social repercussions.
Water.
Pula.
That was Shane Patrick talking about flying helicopters in Africa. If you want to learn more about Shane or listen to more 10-minute travels, please check us out at 10minutetravels.com.
And we want to remind you to make sure that your sense of humor matches your sense of adventure.